What if I told you that Arsenal pulled off the impossible? A full Premier League season without a single loss. No team before or after has ever done it. But here's the crazy part. Arsenal wasn't even supposed to be contenders. They were mocked, doubted, and on the verge of decline. So how did Arsene Wenger transform them into untouchables? And what was the one moment that almost shattered their historic run? Stick around, because once you hear the real story behind the Invincibles, you'll never see football the same way again. By the mid-1990s, Arsenal found itself in a period of turbulence in the Premier League. The club struggled to maintain relevance, often finishing mid-table, with 10th and 12th place finishes becoming an unfortunate reality. As they desperately sought stability and a return to title contention, few could have predicted that the solution would come in the form of a relatively unknown manager, plucked from an unlikely league in Japan, where he had been coaching Nagoya Grampus State. The appointment sent shockwaves through the Arsenal fan base. The British press couldn't hide their skepticism, with one now infamous headline posing the question, Arsene who? Yet, history would soon reveal that this unfamiliar name, Arsene Wenger, would go on to lead Arsenal into its most successful and consistent era in the Premier League. Under his leadership, Arsenal achieved an unprecedented level of dominance, culminating in a domestic campaign so remarkable that not a single team managed to defeat them throughout an entire league season. For Wenger, the agony of defeat was unbearable. Reflecting on the emotional toll, he once admitted, "Sometimes after a loss, I would feel physically sick. The pain would linger indefinitely." Football's unpredictability means that any team can emerge victorious on any given day. Yet, Arsenal's invincible 2003-2004 season remains an anomaly in modern football, an achievement unmatched in English football history. Even the most celebrated teams, including Sir Alex Ferguson's treble-winning Manchester United or Pep Guardiola's all-conquering Manchester City, stumbled along the way. So, how did Wenger, managing a club once criticized for its uninspiring football, achieve what no one else had? How did he transform Arsenal from a team in decline into an unstoppable force that endured an entire season without tasting defeat? Before Wenger's arrival, Arsenal had been synonymous with defensive resilience. While this tactical approach had secured trophies, it also earned the club the moniker Boring Arsenal. However, the situation deteriorated after manager George Graham was dismissed in 1995 due to a financial scandal. Despite acquiring an exceptional talent in Dennis Bergkamp, Arsenal still lacked direction and identity. Meanwhile, Manchester United, under the leadership of Sir Alex Ferguson, had become the dominant force in English football, revolutionizing the game with a more expansive and attacking philosophy. In this moment of crisis, Arsenal took a gamble on an unheralded Frenchman. Wenger's appointment was met with doubt, but he was far from ordinary. He arrived with a philosophy that emphasized technical precision, fluid attacking play, and meticulous preparation, principles that were revolutionary for English football at the time. One of his first major changes was a complete overhaul of Arsenal's fitness and dietary habits. Wenger introduced strict nutritional guidelines and banned the prevalent drinking culture in English football. He implemented cutting-edge training methodologies designed to enhance speed, endurance, and ball control. His vision for Arsenal was clear: a high-tempo, dynamic style of football that allowed players the creative freedom to express themselves while maintaining tactical discipline. However, to bring this philosophy to life, Wenger needed the right players. Beyond tactics, he had a remarkable ability to identify talent. Unlike traditional English scouting, which often overlooked players struggling at their current clubs, Wenger saw untapped potential in players who had yet to flourish. One of Wenger's first and most crucial signings was Patrick Vieira. At the time, Vieira was relatively unknown, having endured a disappointing spell at AC Milan. Under Wenger's guidance, he transformed into one of the most complete midfielders in world football. His intelligence, athleticism, and technical ability made him indispensable to Arsenal's resurgence. Not only was he a midfield enforcer capable of winning duels and breaking up opposition play, but he also possessed the vision and passing range to dictate games. His impact was so profound that his name became synonymous with Arsenal's revival. Vieira's influence extended beyond club football. Alongside Zinedine Zidane, he played a pivotal role in France's golden era, helping the national team secure both the World Cup and the European Championship. His blend of physicality and finesse made him a nightmare for opponents, and his contributions to Arsenal's success cannot be overstated. Yet, as vital as Vieira was, Wenger's most transformative signing came in the form of Thierry Henry. Today, Henry is regarded as one of the greatest strikers in football history, but his career wasn't always smooth sailing. After a promising start in France, he struggled to find his footing at Juventus, managing just 3 goals in 19 matches. The defensive rigidity of Serie A stifled his attacking instincts, and many questioned whether he would ever fulfill his immense potential. When Thierry Henry first arrived at Juventus, expectations were sky high. Yet, the reality was disappointing. The excitement surrounding his transfer quickly faded as he struggled to make an impact in Serie A. Many fans and pundits wrote him off, but Arsene Wenger saw something that others overlooked. He envisioned Henry not as a traditional winger, but as a forward with the ability to devastate defenses. Wenger wasted no time after signing the 23-year-old Frenchman, immediately repositioning him as a striker. It turned out to be the best decision of Henry's career. By allowing him to operate in the left-sided half space, Henry became nearly unmarkable. His natural movement, combined with an uncanny ability to glide past defenders, turned him into an absolute nightmare for opposing teams. Without the burden of tracking back too often, he could position himself higher up the pitch, ready to launch lethal counterattacks. His stride with the ball was unmatched, effortlessly accelerating while maintaining perfect control. Henry's finishing was second to none. Whether curling precise shots into the bottom corner, scoring from impossible angles, chipping goalkeepers with ridiculous composure, or striking thunderous shots from distance, he had every tool in his arsenal. Wenger structured the entire attack around Henry's brilliance, refining the system over the years to extract the maximum from his star forward. But just as Henry was beginning to shine, Wenger made another pivotal signing that would elevate Arsenal's attack to new heights. A year after Henry's arrival, Wenger added another French dynamo to his squad, Robert Pires. The gifted midfielder had been heavily courted by clubs across Europe, including Real Madrid. Yet, he chose Arsenal, drawn by Wenger's vision and the presence of fellow French players. Pires was a maestro in midfield, technically outstanding, two-footed, visionary, and deadly in front of goal. His influence on Arsenal was immense. Many fans still consider him one of the greatest wingers to ever wear the club's colors. Despite being somewhat underrated outside Arsenal circles, his contribution was undeniable. His teammates recognized his brilliance, and when he was named Arsenal's Player of the Season, their reaction spoke volumes about his impact. Beyond Henry and Pires, Wenger carefully assembled a squad of complementary players who would support his system. Midfield reinforcements such as Edu, Gilberto Silva, and Freddie Ljungberg added depth and versatility, ensuring that Arsenal remained formidable in every department. These players were not just workhorses. They contributed crucial goals, created scoring opportunities, and embodied the relentless, free-flowing football Wenger sought to instill. While Wenger revolutionized Arsenal's attack, he never neglected the defensive side of the game. His strategy was built on balance, ensuring that Arsenal remained solid at the back while maintaining their attacking philosophy. One of his most unexpected but brilliant signings was Kolo Touré, an unknown talent from the Ivorian League. Originally a midfielder, Touré possessed an exceptional blend of strength, speed, and ball-playing ability. His adaptability allowed him to transition seamlessly into a defensive role, where he formed a formidable partnership with Sol Campbell. When Campbell joined Arsenal from their fierce rivals Tottenham Hotspur, fans were initially skeptical. However, Wenger knew he had found the ideal central defender to anchor his backline. Campbell was an old-school center-back, dominant in aerial duels, positionally impeccable, and near impossible to beat one-on-one. His physical presence complemented Touré's dynamic style perfectly, creating a well-balanced defensive unit. At left back, Ashley Cole was emerging as one of the most complete fullbacks in the league. While he would later become a Chelsea legend, it was at Arsenal that he honed his craft. His ability to join the attack while remaining defensively sound made him a crucial asset. His overlapping runs, precise passing, and composure in the final third allowed Arsenal to overload the left flank, linking up seamlessly with Pires and Henry. In goal, Wenger took another risk by signing Jens Lehmann, a goalkeeper many believed was past his best at nearly 35 years old. The skepticism was understandable, but Wenger's foresight proved accurate once again. Lehmann enjoyed a career resurgence at Arsenal, winning the UEFA Goalkeeper of the Year award and leading the Premier League in clean sheets. He became an integral part of the team's defensive resilience. Although Wenger did not sign him, Dennis Bergkamp was the ultimate orchestrator in Arsenal's attack. The Dutchman was one of the most technically gifted footballers of his generation, renowned for his flawless first touch, extraordinary vision, and unparalleled creativity. His presence added leadership and experience to a young, ambitious squad. With Bergkamp pulling the strings, Henry finishing with ruthless efficiency, and Pires providing flair from midfield, Arsenal's attack became one of the most feared in Europe. Wenger's impact on Arsenal was immediate. In just his second season, he led the club to a Premier League title, ending Manchester United's dominance. Over the next 6 seasons, Arsenal consistently finished in the top 2, cementing themselves as one of England's elite clubs. Under his leadership, Arsenal shed the boring tag and became synonymous with breathtaking, attacking football. They won multiple FA Cups and Community Shields, proving that they were a force to be reckoned with. However, Wenger's greatest triumph was yet to come. As the 2003-2004 season began, Arsenal looked different. They didn't just win matches, they overwhelmed opponents with their fast-paced, intricate passing and unbreakable defense. From the very first few games, it was clear that something special was unfolding. By the end of September, Arsenal had already set the pace at the top of the league. Their first real test came in a high-intensity clash against Manchester United, a match that nearly ended their unbeaten run. However, Arsenal weathered the storm, proving that they had the resilience to go all the way. Game after game, Arsenal continued to defy the odds. Wenger's tactical genius, combined with the perfect blend of experience and youth, saw them complete a 38-game Premier League season without a single defeat, a feat that remains unmatched in modern English football. Even the greatest teams of the Premier League era, from Ferguson's treble-winning United to Guardiola's record-breaking Manchester City, have stumbled along the way. The 2003-2004 campaign had been nothing short of historic for Arsenal, but there were moments when their unbeaten run came perilously close to ending. One of the most nerve-wracking encounters took place against their fiercest rivals, Manchester United. With the game locked in a tense stalemate and the final minutes ticking down, a dramatic turn of events saw Patrick Vieira receive his second yellow card, reducing Arsenal to 10 men. What followed was a moment that could have rewritten history. Ruud van Nistelrooy, one of the deadliest penalty takers in the league, stepped up to the spot. The tension was unbearable. As he struck the ball, it seemed destined for the back of the net, only for it to rattle off the crossbar in a stunning twist of fate. The Arsenal players erupted, taunting Van Nistelrooy in a moment that embodied the heated rivalry between the two clubs. This match underscored Manchester United as Arsenal's biggest threat at the time, but Arsenal had survived yet another test. Their next major challenge came in November during the North London Derby against Tottenham Hotspur. Once again, the game was tightly contested, sitting at a precarious 1-1 draw. Just when it seemed like Arsenal's streak might falter, Freddie Ljungberg stepped up with a heroic, match-winning goal, keeping the unbeaten dream alive. As the season progressed, Thierry Henry was delivering world-class performances week after week, reinforcing his place among football's greats. A defining moment of his career came in February, when he netted his 100th goal for Arsenal against Southampton. By this point, Arsenal had become a phenomenon, and the longer they went without a loss, the more it seemed as though something extraordinary was unfolding. Then, in March, they faced Manchester United once again. Another clash where United threw everything at them but still couldn't find a way to hand Arsenal their first defeat. By this point, Arsenal had shattered records, reaching 30 consecutive matches unbeaten in the league. For those who still doubted the magic of this Arsenal side, April delivered a moment that would go down as one of Henry's most iconic performances. Facing Liverpool, Arsenal found themselves trailing 2-1, with their entire undefeated campaign hanging in the balance. Many assumed this would be the game where their run would finally end, but Henry had other plans. In one of the greatest solo goals in Premier League history, Henry picked up the ball, weaved through Liverpool's defense with breathtaking agility, and slotted home the equalizer with absolute composure. His performance was nothing short of legendary. He ended the match with a hat trick, leading Arsenal to a dramatic comeback victory and proving once again why he was the heartbeat of this historic team. By the end of April, Arsenal had mathematically secured the Premier League title, achieving this feat at the most poetic of venues, White Hart Lane, the home of their bitter rivals, Tottenham Hotspur. The moment was made even sweeter when Spurs managed to equalize late in the game, yet it meant nothing. Arsenal had already achieved what they came for. They were crowned champions, and they were still undefeated. Despite the celebrations, the job wasn't finished. There was still one final mission, completing the entire season unbeaten. That moment finally arrived on May 15th, 2004, against Leicester City. The match started with a shock as Leicester took an unexpected early lead. But Arsenal, displaying the resilience that had defined their campaign, responded with goals from Thierry Henry and Patrick Vieira. They survived this last test, cementing their place in history with 26 wins, 12 draws, and 0 defeats. The Invincibles were officially born. Some critics have pointed out that Arsenal's record included 12 draws, questioning whether it was truly as impressive as it seemed. However, to fully appreciate their achievement, one must consider the era in which they accomplished it. The Premier League in 2003-2004 was highly competitive, packed with formidable teams capable of pulling off upsets. This was before the arrival of Roman Abramovich's financial revolution at Chelsea, which would later redefine the landscape of English football with unprecedented spending power. Even in more recent years, clubs have come close to replicating Arsenal's feat, but ultimately fell short. Liverpool's 2019-2020 squad, one of the most dominant teams of the modern era, looked nearly invincible until a shocking 3-0 defeat to Watford in their 28th match ended their unbeaten streak. Similarly, Manchester City's 2017-2018 team, despite setting a staggering 100-point record, still couldn't manage to remain undefeated throughout the campaign. Over the course of 38 matches, avoiding a single loss is nearly impossible. The mental strength required to maintain that level of focus, consistency, and resilience is beyond extraordinary. Arsenal faced immense pressure every week, yet instead of crumbling under expectations, they turned it into fuel. That kind of mental fortitude is rare, especially in today's football climate, where the relentless scrutiny of social media makes maintaining an unbeaten run even more challenging. As dominant as Arsenal were in the league, their invincible season was not without disappointments. They were eliminated in the FA Cup semi-finals, the League Cup semi-finals, and finished as runners-up in the Community Shield. The biggest heartbreak, however, came in the Champions League, where they were knocked out in the quarterfinals, preventing them from adding European silverware to their remarkable domestic success. Despite these setbacks, their unbeaten league campaign remains one of football's most cherished achievements. Winning a Premier League title is hard enough, but going an entire season without a single loss? That is an accomplishment that may never be replicated. Arsenal's 2003-2004 season was more than just an undefeated campaign. It was a statement. It was a demonstration of beautiful, attacking football blended with tactical discipline, led by a manager who revolutionized the game. This wasn't just a great team. It was a brotherhood, a group of players who fought for each other, who believed in Arsene Wenger's philosophy, and who refused to be beaten. While records in football are often broken, the Invincibles' legacy remains untouchable. The trophy may have been lifted in 2004, but their achievement still stands unmatched in Premier League history. 38 games, 0 defeats. An achievement so rare that even modern super teams like Guardiola's City and Klopp's Liverpool couldn't match it. But here's the real question. Will anyone ever do it again? Or was Arsenal's invincible season a once-in-a-lifetime miracle? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that subscribe button for more untold football stories. And we'll see you in the next one.